Well, hey now, everybody. It is the Rob from Kiss 106 and 103gbfrocks.com. Back once again with my tag team partner in podcasting, the American Nightmare, Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning. And if we're going to start with the American Nightmare, should we start in chronological order from a lot of wrestling that we haven't had a chance to talk about? And let's just go to Double or Nothing.
Well, here's something interesting. I didn't know, because on Friday you asked me, are you going to be watching Double or Nothing? And I'm like, I don't think so. And I asked you, are you going to be watching Double or Nothing? And you said no. So I wasn't prepared to talk Double or Nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like we could, if I hadn't watched it, I would have been able to talk about some of the things, some of the bigger things that happened. What happened is my Memorial Day weekend was awesome, and I was surrounded by a bunch of people randomly, and a couple of the guys that I was with Saturday night, they were like, they wanted to watch it. And I was like, well, okay. And so we watched a little bit of it, but then couldn't watch it all. I watched like the beginning of it at the one dude's house, and then someone else, I may or may not have, I found a special way to get it on Sunday. And so Sunday morning, I just watched it, and it was awesome.
Okay, well, fill me in, because I know the headlines.
I wasn't going to spend $50 on it. I didn't lie to you about that.
Yeah, I'm not spending $50 on WrestleMania anymore.
No, I'm not spending $50 on it, but I did watch it, and I was very happy with it. Here's what I'll say. I have some goods and I have some bads. I guess I'll just start with the really good stuff, and then I'll tell you the things that I didn't care about. I've never seen a Young Bucks match before.
I've seen a few.
I haven't. Man, that was awesome. Like, dude, I make fun of indie wrestling all the time, and I can see it getting a little too gymnastic-y, and maybe with like the 50th near fall kick out to what should have murdered somebody, that I can see why that gets tedious for people. But the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, there weren't any flubs. They were all over the ropes. Like they were defying gravity. I was thoroughly impressed and enjoyed that match a ton.
I like and respect the work and ability of the Jackson brother. What are they called again? The
Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks. Thank you. I don't know why that escaped me. My thing is every time I see them wrestle, I hate the super kick party.
They didn't really do that so much, but they were doing there was a lot of stuff happening.
And oftentimes it walks the line of becoming too choreographed for me, which can be fun to watch, but I like it to look real.
Well, I'll tell you, it was one of the only matches on the card, and the way that they lined the card up, I really liked. It didn't feel, when the whole card is like that, I can see it's like a gym. What are we watching? A gymnastics competition. But it was placed perfectly, because it was placed right in between Cody and Dustin, which was all storytelling, good wrestling, more of a slobber knocker, as Jim Ross would say, and less of the flippy flappy stuff. And then you have a good mix of the two on the other side of the Young Bucks match with Omega and Jericho, which I thought was also an incredible match.
Okay.
I like how they set the card up to be a lot like a UFC, where, in a lot of pay-per-views, you'll put a big match first and you spread out the big matches and then you have your main event. They just load it up where it's like, it just keeps getting progressively bigger. And then the big three matches at the end of the night went 1, 2, 3. And it was pretty interesting how they lined it up and how they did it. I thought Cody and Dustin could be match of the year candidate for me. I think it's because it's all storytelling, the blood, the intensity, the violence, the passion, the crowd, it all kind of worked together. If anything took away from it for me, Boy, Jim Ross has lost a step or two, pal.
Really?
Yeah, Jim Ross wasn't really doing that great for me, and I thought for sure if I was going to not like anybody by the end of the night on commentary, it was going to be that idiot in the lucha mask, Excalibur.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard him before too, and I think I disliked him.
I don't know. I mean, if Jim Ross talking about the indie scene, it just wasn't working for me on commentary.
Okay.
Maybe he'll slip into it, but I thought it was really great. And the end of the pay-per-view had a huge moment, and I'm sure we're going to get into this. John Moxley showed up, Dean Ambrose, and got a huge pop. I really enjoyed the entire pay-per-view. I also want your thoughts on Bret Hart. I want to hear what you think about him debuting the title and his involvement with AEW, or so it seems. I also want to say that it was really sad to me. Bret, I would like to not see Bret Hart in a wrestling ring anymore because it's very sad. Like he has a hard time getting in and out of them. He fell off the stage.
He did?
He did. He did. And there were a lot of reports of that. They didn't get it on video, but after the stage splits into two, and there are like two tunnels, and then there's an empty space in the middle at the end.
Sure.
And there's actually a still frame of him. He forgot to turn, and he just went off the back.
Man.
And he got hurt. And the funniest tweet I saw, someone wrote, there are reports that Dash Wilder eventually knocked out the stage. But yeah, he looked feeble getting out of the ring. And he didn't look great. And then he fell off the stage.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to go as far as to say I never want to see him in a wrestling ring again. I was comfortable with his Hall of Fame thing. Like, if you take out the maniac attacking him,
sure, he
was fine to me. I can deal with that. Bret hasn't lost it the way some of those guys have lost it.
Right, but he just, I don't know. I want to remember Bret in a different way than falling off the stage and not knowing where he's going and stuff, you know?
Well, I will remember Bret a different way than falling off the stage at an indie pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember him for being a 5-time WWF champion. I'm going to remember him for having the 5 of the top 10 matches I've ever seen. I mean, that's the Hitman. He's not Double or Nothing. He's WrestleMania.
Good. Well, good. But I really like Double or Nothing. Now, I am also coming from this from the perspective that I don't want the WWE to fail. I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, stick it to the WWE. They want to like AEW more than WWE. They want to crap over everything WWE does, and they want to say everything AEW does at this point is gold. I will say AEW did a lot of stuff right. They did a lot of stuff right, and they had my attention. But most of the matches, and a lot of the ones that I didn't mention here and talk about, I didn't know who anybody was, and there was no story to pull me in. Maybe when they get TV, it'll change. But as of right now, like, I don't, I'm not an indie guy. So when Awesome Kong shows up, I don't care. And that, and I've never heard of Hangman Page. And I know people think that it's stupid when I say that, but I just didn't. So I don't know who that guy is, but he looks great. And I'm sure if they give me a good story, I'll like him a lot.
Well, I'm excited for their television show. I will watch it. I intend to watch it until I get bored with it. So I'm excited, but we might as well just get to the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm going to say, hey, Rob, what do you think about Jon Moxley?
I think it's a work.
Oh, come on, pal.
I think it's cool that it got everybody talking. I think it's extremely well executed, but I do believe WWE is in some way involved in AEW, and I've got a few pieces of evidence, and I love that with the exception of Vince Russo, I'm the only person saying this. I'm seeing this nowhere.
People don't usually buddy up to Vince Russo too when it comes to his conspiracy theories.
Well, this was, I've been hanging tough with this since before Russo has been talking about it.
You had been, but I think I misunderstood you the entire time. When you say Dean Ambrose was a work, I assumed you meant the WWE's working us. It's not really like his last match. He's going to show up at SummerSlam, and he's going to be back, and Dean Ambrose we're getting worked that he's leaving the company. I didn't think you actually meant that AEW was working with the WWE in some capacity, well, like ECW used to.
What I was saying was really anything on that spectrum. I didn't know specifically. I just knew whether Dean Ambrose is the smoking gun or not. I'm telling you, WWE is in some way in cahoots with AEW. Probably or Vince Russo said in bed together. I think the relationship is very much similar to WWF's relationship with ECW back in the 90s. And I'll elaborate.
I want to hear that. I also want your thoughts on the Cody Rhodes entrance, because I wonder if that also is one of the things that you think leads you to believe that they're working together, because they're, I think they really hammered that home. That entrance that was over the top.
I haven't actually sat down and watched it.
Have you heard about it?
Yeah. And I think it's a nothing burger. I think that if you think Triple H is offended, let's just say it's a shoot. Okay. And I'm 100% wrong. And AEW has their sights set on offending WWE and declaring war with WWE. Do you think Triple H is going to care that Cody Rhodes took a sledgehammer to a throne that looked like what he comes out at WrestleMania?
I don't think so, but I do think that the WWE is probably annoyed that that's what they're using to pop the fans. Like they're asking the fans to, they're going to war with WWE. I can't see Vince liking this.
I think that it was just to pop the marks.
Yeah.
I do not think Triple H, Vince, or WWE cares about that even a little bit, and I'm just being honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no more information than you guys have, but hang with me here. And again, don't shoot the messenger. Like Russo had a follow-up tweet talking about, why are the marks getting mad at me? I'm just the one explaining all of this to you. Russo said, I didn't write this crap. And I didn't either. People
were hammering him. What did that one guy say? Could you imagine being this stupid?
Yeah. So I can't wait for this all to come out. So here's what I think is going on. And we have more. What happened this weekend is really, I think, evidence of this. I think that WWE, who, by the way, has a relationship on a business level with just about every independent. Ring of Honor gets money from WWE. TNA has, I don't know if it's money, but it's they've got some sort of working relationship together where it's not a dirty word anymore. Ring of Honor gives them video and photos for WWE home videos, and WWE helps them. And they're all negotiating to get content on the WWE network because they have a working relationship. It's even being talked about with a tiered plan in the near future to maybe having, a video service called the WWE network that will offer all this independent content.
Do you think they'll get New Japan and Wrestle Kingdom in that? Because it seems like New Japan and AEW have a real relationship right now.
Yeah, it's more cohesive than WWE's, but even New Japan and WWE, they've got some sort of working relationship. And so that's my first thing is, there isn't really many independent companies that WWE doesn't have some sort of handshake deal with. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, and this blindsided so many people in the late 90s, early 2000s, when we did find out, not only was WWE is giving ECW money, trying to keep ECW alive to the tune of more than 6 figures a month. Like
that's the biggest piece of evidence. Like that's the one thing that I thought about yesterday when people were talking about this. I was like, they've done it before. And no one ever would have dreamed of it, especially because ECW guys were invading and there were shoot fights and JBL legitimately beating the hell out of the Blue Meanie. You never really thought they worked together.
And don't forget, WWE was totally cool with some of their talent going to. Jerry Lawler wrestled on ECW pay-per-view. Al Snow, when he was under WWE contract, would go back and forth. Like, there are many examples. Taz, when he was on WWE contract. I mean,
they haven't gone that far with AEW right now. In fact, they're keeping people from leaving their contract.
Really?
Because except for Dustin Rhodes.
First of all, okay. Let's talk about Dustin. Okay. All right. First of all, I do believe that Jon Moxley, if that's what we're going to call him now, is getting paid by WWE still. I don't know. I just believe it. I think he's got a unique...
I think his wife is.
Well, it's funny. His wife is going to accompany him to a lot of these autograph signings. I think that that's really conspicuous, if you want my honest opinion.
She's been to, I guess, because I thought that too. I mean, I'm not going to just blindly fight you here. I looked at it too, and I was like, is Rob right? You've been right a million times, pal. But she's been to, like, I guess, signings for whatever company they're doing this for here before. Like, this isn't unprecedented for her to be at some of these things.
Well, it's almost like WWE has somewhat of a working relationship with them.
I have a hard time believing this is a work, bud.
Okay, that's fine.
But you're making good points. Continue with your points.
Okay, so what ultimately was the purpose of giving ECW money? Why would WWE, in the position they were in, fund essentially their own competition? And that's a question to you.
Well, okay. I thought to fight against WCW, maybe.
No, that's not the impression that I have. How is giving ECW money helping fight WCW in the 90s?
Well, I mean, you think about it, you're just giving WCW more competition. I don't know. I don't know why they would fund ECW, like a farm system, but the WWE has one of those already.
Okay, it does, but it doesn't. First of all, the walls
NXT is a farm system.
It's an in-house farm system. But what it has with NXT is a third brand more than it has a farm system. And that was, in my opinion, the main reason Vince wanted to keep ECW afloat, was because that talent would grow to a popularity level, and then Vince could essentially, without feeling bad about it, just pillage the talent he wanted, just poach it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Paul would set him up to get ready for Stardom. It was essentially like a testing ground, a proving ground for WWE. And then, so here was another thing that no one else is also talking about. We've addressed the mass exodus of producers and road agents over the previous few weeks. And they all wind up, Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, I don't know if Steamboat, Malenko's over there.
Yeah, Malenko's over there. I don't know about Steamboat, but I know Arn, Malenko. So far, I think those are the two.
So, okay. Doesn't it seem funny?
Jim Ross.
Forget about Ross for a second. Focus more on Arn and Dean Malenko, who all left under very weird circumstances at the same time as a few other people start making all this noise. And then they both wind up at AEW. Now, I'll admit they're probably good producers and road agents. Road agents is a fun term because they don't even have a road show. They just have a pay-per-view, but okay. Boy, I really bet you, because part of their job in WWE is to scout talent in the first place.
Have we heard anything about their show? Will it be a traveling show or will it be a studio show?
I don't know. So that's my next argument here is the people that they've got behind the scenes there really feels like people Vince would send over there essentially to groom and scout talent.
Do you think they're moles, or you think AEW's in on this?
No, I don't think they're moles. I think that AEW knows their role essentially, but everyone's trying to keep it hush hush in a 90s Attitude Era kind of way, a Monday Night War kind of way.
So here's the difference between ECW and AEW is that Ted Turner wasn't involved with ECW. I don't know if Vince and Ted Turner would actually get buddy these days.
What do you mean?
I don't see Ted Turner being like, yeah, let's work with the WWE here. Or do you think he doesn't know about it?
We're not talking about Ted Turner. We're talking
Ted Turner's station is the one that's putting on AEW.
Ted Turner is so far removed from wrestling. And to be honest with you, Ted Turner is so far removed from TNT. You know what I mean? Look, who made the call to dump WCW back in 2001? It was the AOL guys. The guy, because now they're all part of a huge conglomeration of companies. A huge merger happened, and it's way deeper than Ted Turner now.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then a few more other things, just small things that continue in my mind to just and I'm not doing a bit here. I'm shooting with you guys.
Well, listen, and anybody that's going to argue with you, and I think we're all still going to argue with you. We have to admit, Rob came in here. He's got an outline. He's got facts. He's presenting his case, and it's hard to argue with some of the points you're making. I don't think that's what's happening.
That's fine.
But
I understand.
But boy, you do make sense on a few points. And the Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson thing, I bet it's probably not as sexy as that. I think that they really probably just laughed or screwed up or thought they were getting edged out. But who knows? I mean, it could be that. It could be.
So let me give you another one that people also aren't really talking about. You have Moxley declaring war on WWE, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Dustin? I don't think it was on air, but Dustin has also been. He feels like he's been released from prison.
He said that after Double or Nothing, there was an interview with him, and he said that he escaped from Papillon. That he's escaped from prison, and then he did literally say, it was like the title of the video, Vince better watch his ass.
This is a guy who, I mean, I know he's been in WWE. Actually, no, that's not the case. He did leave WWE for a minute. He's always been extremely complimentary of his time at WWE. He loved doing Goldust. He was not one of those bitter, like, okay, yeah, Pac or whatever his name is, Neville.
Neville, yeah. Who ended up not on the show.
Interesting, right? Some people left really disgruntled.
You can't say the Pac thing was because of the WWE.
I'm just saying it's there. I'm not using that as one of my key pieces of evidence.
They said he wouldn't do the job, is what they're saying.
Dustin is a guy who has been so happy, in my understanding, to be employed by WWE for as long as he was even when he was on TNA. My understanding was he was always saying good things about WWE and Vince and how he liked working for them and how he took care of his family and his dad's generation and his brother. It's just like, so I don't feel like Dustin feels that way. And
but Cody never did.
Cody thought he was underutilized. Cody was always on good terms with WWE, with my understanding. But let's also talk about Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose came in, got pushed to the freaking moon, was not a guy you were hearing about being disgruntled either. You know, you would hear about a lot of these guys being upset. Dean wasn't one of those guys either. So I don't think these are two people who would really have a bone to pick with the WWE. If it was someone like Neville, maybe, or someone else who left under really bad terms, maybe, but not Dustin and Dean, to me. What do you think about that?
As far as Dean, I thought near the end he did seem super disgruntled.
Near the end when they were telling the story.
No, I mean even before that. I'm talking like
And
the Stone Cold podcast, and then
near the end, when he was getting pushed on every single Raw, reminding us that he's leaving, and even got a network special on his last day of work towards that end.
No, like after right around, you noticed it too. When we watched the Stone Cold podcast, there just wasn't something right about Dean Ambrose. And he didn't like working with Brock Lesnar. And I think that the push didn't matter as much as like, he didn't like the way he was being used. He didn't like the way things handled in the back. I do believe that. Like, I think that he was probably also a hard guy to work with. And then at the end, I thought it was weird. I admitted that
that's still my smoking gun.
That they kept promoting the fact that he was done. But I thought all that meant was if it's a work, he's coming back to WWE. The minute he shows up at Double or Nothing, I was like, it's not a work.
It just feels very ECW to me. It feels very much like King going to ECW to me.
The problem is no one's going to know if it is a work or if it isn't. Because if it isn't a work, no information will ever come out that says it was a work. So we'll wonder till the end of time. And if it is a work, we're not going to know for 20 years.
I mean, today's day and age, I don't know that it will take 2 decades. You know what I mean?
Took a long time with DCW, pal.
It did. Yeah. It was different back in the pre-internet days.
People were protecting the business. Now they expose the business.
And by the way, I don't know if you want to use what Sami Zayn did on Raw as a piece of evidence, but that's not hurting me either.
Well, they took that down. The second they could, they took that down.
No, the second they could would be a live dump.
Oh.
Just saying. That's all. It's not, I'm not working even a little bit. Everyone and I admit it looks like the evidence is piling up against me when Dean appears on AEW. And I know people.
And by the way, it was awesome. Him showing up. It was intense. He's given everybody dirty deeds. I don't know if they call it that anymore. I don't know if they're allowed to, but he was giving everybody the DDT, and it was awesome. He gave one to Jericho. He gave one to the ref. And then he's fighting Omega onto the poker chips. And it looks like it's going to be him and Omega.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm all right with it.
So, yeah, that's what I got.
They took this WWE only guy, and they made me really enjoy the pay-per-view. I liked it. And then near the end, like the last hour and 40 minutes, I loved it.
I'm happy to hear that. I bet you if I watched it, I would love it too.
If this is better for wrestling, I don't care if they're working together. I really don't.
Same.
Like if it helps the WWE come along, if it gives us a little less Shane McMahon.
Right. Absolutely. And if it gives us an alternate product that Vince isn't writing on Tuesdays on TNT, I'll get on my knees and thank the wrestling gods.
So I think that a lot of people will confuse what we just talked about. I am going to put words in your mouth. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rob's not saying that he doesn't like AEW.
100%.
Because you've said some things that sounded like you're like, oh, it's just an indie pay-per-view and blah, blah, blah. Rob likes AEW. I think Rob's rooting for AEW. I think Rob's going to enjoy AEW. Rob just thinks that AEW is in bed with the WWE.
And the reason I get so impassioned about it is because I'm the only one on this show and in this post-to-post universe that believes it, and I believe it hotly. I really do.
You put yourself out there yesterday. You dropped the bomb, and then everybody started piling on. And all I said was, "I'm gonna miss you on your island. I'm gonna miss."
Listen, if I'm wrong, I've been wrong before. I'm happy to admit it. I don't think I'm wrong here, and it feels really good to be right. If I am right, when everyone is trying to convince me I'm wrong.
I'm telling you right now, everybody, if it ever comes out, I don't care if it's in 40 years. If it comes out that this was a work, he'll get a T-shirt made. He'll let everybody know.
I'm just excited for it to come out because I know it will, and I'm hoping it doesn't take long.
I don't know about that. Happy birthday, Hornswoggle. By the way,
I wonder if that just was the episode.
I think it was, and I don't know what you titled it, but I think if you go back and title the episode "AEW is work," then we'll get a ton of hits.
I mean, AEW, any wrestling company is a work. You know, maybe UFC and shoot fighting gets a pass, but I mean, any pro wrestling group is a work.
Yeah.
It's just a work that's in bed on some level with WWE. I do think the AEW, I don't think Sammy's going to get in real trouble for what he did. By the way, the video is titled Sami Zayn mentions AEW on Raw.
Boy, that segment sucked though, didn't it? The electric chair.
It does feel a little bit like a missed opportunity to me. I wonder if maybe using plants would have been the way to go.
Yeah, I thought they were plants until they asked the questions and they were really bad.
Correct. Yeah. They should have asked questions that went. So while I respect them for trying, like if you would have asked me last week, hey, we're going to do this shoot segment with Sammy where legit fans ask Sammy questions. And you asked me, do you want to make it real or do you want to make it a work? I've been like, man, real is the way to go. But sometimes, you know, that shows you why we don't always take live calls on the radio.
Right. I feel like you should, or you could, if you're going to do that, you say, all right, we'll take some live ones. And if the first two are stinkers, we've got 2 plants over here for you. And if they're good, we'll continue with it. But have the plants ready.
Yeah, sure. Also, I'm curious.
I would have asked about AEW for sure.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah. My question would be, Sammy, when will it come out that WWE is in bed with AEW? How long will that take? I'm curious about this. SmackDown to me felt very similar to last week's episode. Also, Raw felt like last week's episode of Raw. Do you think SmackDown won the week again? Because I think Raw did.
I can't honestly answer that because I saw the beginning of SmackDown and our power went out. Oh yeah, you're in S Storm Valley, aren't you? Oh, it was. I mean, we were the purple dot, and you ever see the radar? And there's you're like, woo, who's in that purple dot? That was us.
That's Larry's house.
Yeah, hail, all kinds of business was happening yesterday afternoon and then last night, and so we lost power. I saw the Kofi and Kevin Owens stuff. I love Kevin Owens, and now I have a little more insight as to why they brought Dolph Ziggler back for.
Same.
I know that makes a little bit more sense, and I do feel like now it's going to be more of a one-off with Dolph, but who knows?
If you don't know what we're talking about, it looks like Kevin Owens has joined the list of people. It seems to grow by one every time they go to Saudi Arabia.
Did you see his reasoning? I liked his reasoning.
Is because Sammy can't go?
Mm-hmm. And Sammy is not invited or permitted to go because he is of Syrian descent.
There's a few people who aren't allowed to go. I've heard the rumor that Paul Heyman is not allowed to go, but then I believe he actually did wind up going.
Because he's Jewish?
Correct.
Okay.
We all know that women aren't allowed there because they have vaginas.
# progressive.
And then, have you heard about Aleister Black?
No.
Aleister Black is not allowed to go. You want to take a wild stab? You might be able to get it.
I mean, is it a heritage issue? Is he of like Syrian descent or something?
I believe he is from Amsterdam, but it is not anything related to that.
Is it it can't be the tattoos.
It's the tattoos. He has some religious themed tattoos, as my understanding.
Because he does have Buddhas and stuff all over him.
Yeah, so he, because of his tattoos, my understanding is not invited to go, which doesn't make a big difference because he hasn't even been used on TV in how long?
No, they're just misusing him. Just misuse him from another country.
And I also have to say, I don't like his promos, and the reason is because the volume is too low. I don't know why I have to crank the volume. It's not in like a Jake Roberts kind of like listen closely kind of way. It's a producers, please turn the volume up kind of way.
Turn it up. Equalize his ass.
So guys, I know I gave you a lot to make fun of me for today. And
no, you came at it logically.
And I love when you guys have the gifts and all that stuff. And I know everyone disagrees, but if I changed one mind, please go ahead and let me know. And also everyone else, please continue to rip on me.
And Post to Post is now going to be selling merch. We're going to be selling Post to Post tinfoil hats. I cannot wait.
Look, if I wind up being right about this,
come on.
I want everyone to buy. I'll make it. I'll do it as cheaply as I can. Rob was right t-shirts.
Rob was right. It's a work.
I'll think of something catchy, and I will be so proud when this comes out to be that. And I'm glad that because when I first saw that Dean appeared on screen at AEW, my first thought was, oh, F word. It looks like I'm wrong. And then I see the way everything unfolds, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm more right than I ever was.
Get the shirts made on white to say the Rob was right. And then I can easily Sharpie not on them when you're not right. And we can save money on merch.
All right, listen, I was mistaken last week when I said we had 3 episodes this week. The pay-per-view is next weekend.
No, we were way wrong because we only have 1.
Yeah, right. But hopefully next week. Actually, Tuesdays are going to be tough for the next 4 Tuesdays for me.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out, though. But not impossible. This week was impossible because of the baby stuff. But we've got a road show for the next 3 Tuesdays.
Oh, boy.
So maybe we can do it later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, don't shoot the messenger, as Vince Russo said. I didn't write this crap. I'm just telling you.
That'll work.